ETRM podcast, the show where we deep dive into the world of energy and commodity trading, risk management, and the people shaping this industry. I'm your host, Chirag.
And I'm Ranjan. Together, we are going to explore the story and the insights of our guest from Commodity People. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you. Very pleased to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Fantastic. Ben, great to have you here. To start off straight away, could you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got into the business, where did you start, what's your background, and what got you interested in the commodities arena in the first place?
Yeah, well, thanks. It's been an interesting journey. So, how did it all start? I finished university back in 2003, moved back to Nottingham, where I'm originally from. A very charming place. It's got the oldest pub in the world, for example. A couple of okay football teams, Robin Hood, but it really wasn't much of a place to build a career. So I moved to London and just got the very first job I could find, which happened to be in events for a commercial conference organizer. After about a year of being there, I worked on my first ever commodities event, which, if I remember correctly, was the 6th annual Emissions Trading Summit. Even by 2004, they'd been running events on carbon trading since '98. So that really started the interest. From there, I worked on a range of other events in the energy and commodities space, and really started to develop an interest in it. Fast forward a few years, in 2009, I set up my own events business, focusing exclusively on energy and commodities, particularly on back office, regulatory, operations, and technology. It really just sort of grew from there. The very first one I did for myself was called the Energy Back Office Summit in 2009. Then over the years, expanded to many different areas, did a range of events quite far outside of the energy trading space eventually. Did stuff on defense, security, traveled all over the world, some very weird and wonderful places to organize events, before coming to 2017, where just refocused exclusively on commodities and energy trading. And since then, we've been a very happy and relatively peaceful last 8 years, only doing energy and commodity markets. No more trips to, as I say, we're interesting locations to run events. Why commodities? What's been so fascinating about it? It's really just evolved so much over the years. Honestly, initially, it was a very attractive sector commercially. I'd worked on events in the other company, and I knew that there was a good opportunity there. But after a few, it really started to the interest really grew. It sounds not not wanting to be cliched, but really the people stood out from the first event in 2009. What I found was you've got a lot of the same sort of sharpness, intelligence, the sort of how interesting people in the wider financial sector can be, but they tend to be just a little bit more pleasant and easy to deal with in the energy and commodities sector. So some of the people I was dealing with, working with on my first event in 2009, I'm still friends with to this day. They're still involved in the events 16 years later. So that was part of it. The other thing that I just absolutely love about commodities is, again, a bit of a cliche, it never stands still. I launched just off the back of the credit crisis. At that point, we were getting energy and commodity sector was just getting, particularly the energy sector, was getting assaulted with waves and waves of new regulations, which I think was something which really helped with the sort of development of Broadpeak, for example. After that, we had that sort of started to calm down a bit. Then we had major volatility of the oil crisis. Then about 10 years ago, in a really major way, the sort of digital revolution really kicked off, and that's been just absolutely fascinating. Sustainability went from a sort of something people paid lip service to something quite meaningful, something quite business influencing as of about 5 years ago. And then, of course, we've had all the sort of interesting ups and downs of geopolitics. I think now, now I think a something that's really keeping things very fresh and interesting is AI and how that's been being applied. So, yeah, that's a very long way of saying, why am I interested in commodities? I think essentially there's never a boring moment. So
Yeah. So, well, Ben, that's a fascinating story. I would like to step back a little bit, and many of our listeners already have heard about commodities people,
Mhm.
but I want to ask you, for those who might not be familiar with what commodity people does, could you please explain to us what commodity people is, and maybe share some of your different events and initiatives which you host?
Yeah, thank you. So we're a global events organizer. We organize Energy Trading Week in Europe, in all locations, and we've just launched in the Middle East. So we've just announced a few days ago launch of a new show in Dubai, and we organise also cross commodity events. Likewise, all the key locations around the world. I suppose what we focus on from the from the trading firm perspective, from that sort of market participant perspective, is we're not that event necessarily where you will go and hear the CEO of Shell talk about their sort of 5-year plans, give a similar spiel to what he's just said to CNBC the day before an interview. Our focus is a lot more on essentially being a tier of event that helps people do their job better. So we want to focus on the real practical issues. So we'd still welcome, obviously, the CEO of Shell. If he's listening, then please do drop me a line, and we'll talk. But equally, we'd be just as fascinated to have the Chief Data Officer of Shell Trading coming on and giving us some real insights, practical insights into how they make their data management systems work at Shell. We also consider ourselves a place where people can sort of break out of their own professional silos. The events are multi-energy commodity or multi-commodity, so it gives people from different commodities an opportunity to connect more widely, and they're also cross-departmental. Each event we run will typically have 4 to 5 content rooms running at any time, covering a wide variety of issues. So even though you might be a specialist in power technology, you will be able to go and understand latest in a wide range of sectors. For those who offer solutions to the sector, we would consider ourselves essentially a platform, a platform where all year round you can share offerings, communicate effectively with the wider industry, whether that's grain traders in Switzerland, or whether that's commodity derivative hedge fund managers in New York, or whether that's oil trading CIOs in Singapore. So yeah, that's how I would describe us.
Fascinating, Ben. I had attended a couple of your ETW conferences, and I just loved it. Yeah, because as you mentioned, the perspective it suddenly offers, and my notebook was filled with ideas and takeaways, and I was so charged up at the end of the event because there were all these different areas which I didn't think about and how I could use it at work, and I thought it's something I'm going to come back to every year whenever I can.
Yeah.
Just extending to what you've already shared, Ben, from your perspective. So, what are the key benefits you've seen in your 16 years, if I understood correctly, of hosting commodity specific events? What are the key benefits for professionals you have seen who take part in these events hosted by commodities people?
Yeah, it kind of ties back into what I mentioned. Really, I think the main point is we are incredibly content focused. We've got a much larger team of content specialists than other organizations of our size would. We've got really experienced content specialists, so we're not creating content and developing sessions just for the sake of it, or just to break up networking sessions. Content is really central, so we offer a lot of very practical knowledge from really experienced high level speakers. We offer the opportunity to vastly expand networks. We have sort of five our sort of events on the lower end attract sort of 500 attendees. On the higher end, it's 2,000 plus. So a really good way to build global networks. We've got people who attend everything worldwide. And as I say, if it's more about showcasing sort of technology or particular services in the sector, we offer a real platform for that and an opportunity to expand into new markets. Yeah.
So definitely, Ben, like I think we spoke in one of your last event in London, and I was like,
Yep.
complaining about like the industry is so closed and we don't have a lot of content around which will open up the industry. I would say like you guys have been doing fantastic job on that front, like with your sessions in those events, and even with the webinars you do conduct, and that's definitely opening up the industry in a much better way right
Yep.
now. Continuing on that, if you have to pick, a session or a webinar from
Yep.
all the events you have organized till now, which one stands out and why?
I love this question, and it really, really, really made me think. So, the first answer is, you know, if someone asks you what's your favorite child, of course you're not going to pick one. So I like them all. I love them all. They're all brilliant. We probably create, I haven't counted, but I'm guessing at the moment we're probably creating in the region of 300 to 350 sessions a year across the in-person and online events. And on top of that, there's additional things like interviews, white papers, reports, things like that. So I like them all. Now, if there's a couple that stand out, I think that the CTRM geek in me always comes back to this one session. It was we did it when COVID was kicking off, so we moved all of our events online. And I remember it was a really interesting, quite a fiery debate. And on one hand, it was the debate was CTRM, multi or single commodity CTRM, what's better and why? So we had Ion on the multi commodity side, and we had Ajibu, who, as you know, focus on only on softs, and I believe within that, particularly on cocoa. And it was moderated fantastically by Gary Vasey, who I think probably a lot of you know. And that just always stood out. It was just a beautiful, beautiful debate. It was fiery, but it was really, really insightful. and they were both winners. So that one always stands out. On the regulatory side, another one that I really, really love is since 2010, we've been organising as part of our energy trading regulations and compliance event a really detailed panel and Q&A with European energy regulators. It sort of lasts sort of an hour and a quarter, an hour and a half, and it's a really central part of that of that one. On the other side, looking forward, what I'm really excited about is we've started to do a lot more audience roundtables. What this involves is the sort of listeners in the audience break into tables, they discuss certain questions and themes, and then a table leader then presents back to the rest of the audience what they've come out with. We find this is really, really interesting as it allows networking over meaningful content, as opposed to, networking can sometimes be that sort of awkward conversation over a coffee in the exhibition room. So we're really looking forward to developing more on that. And anything which Ranjan or Chirag have ever spoken on. They're also my favorite sessions.
I really like that idea, Ben, of those round tables with connecting over a content topic. I think that's a wonderful idea to network, and it helps to, I guess, avoid that awkward conversation around coffee, which you mentioned. Just extending back in a previous podcast, a wonderful lady, she explained how important and crucial is building relationships in commodities in our world. And I think you're like doing such a fascinating job by bringing together people from different companies globally, different walks of life, different areas, and bringing them together. I think it's a great platform then to build that relationship. But Ben, moving on, looking towards the next generation, what advice would you give to students or that young professional who wants to build a career in commodities? What areas or specializations should they be looking at?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. It's very difficult to give an answer because in commodities you never really know what tomorrow's going to bring. There's some really obvious answers. There's some low-hanging fruit I can give you, and I will come to the low-hanging fruit of AI and stuff like that. But I think really the key, what I'd really suggest is you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring in commodities, so you almost need to be. It's almost worth being detective-like and starting to really consider and draw your own conclusions on, well, what are going to be those key sort of mega themes, those key trends of tomorrow in commodities, and how can I get ahead of it? I mean, who knows? Maybe it's the person who right now is, at university immersing themselves in quantum computing for commodities, for example. There's probably not many of them, but perhaps something like that. Thinking ahead like that would be a good idea. But I think really gain specializations in areas that appear to be set to grow. Connect yourself vigorously on LinkedIn and wherever, at every possible opportunity, with companies that are well respected. Looking at, going a bit more specific, AI is obviously interesting, and it's obviously very worthwhile, and it's obviously not going to go anywhere probably ever. It's also a busy place, so certainly specialize in that, but know that your classmates are also probably thinking the very same thing. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in data management. Data management's never going away, and obviously AI is always going to be built on data management. I think what we're going to see is there's going to be a lot more specialists who have expertise in working with data management products connected to market leaders in that space. In the same way as, there's legions of, uh, Endure specialists and Allegro specialist consultants out there. I could see there being in the future similar sort of value placed on specialists who've mastered Broadpeak, for example, or Zima. These are companies that are on the march and are increasingly part of the technology stacks of trading firms. Energy transition metals is certainly very, very, very hot right now. I can think of some major trading houses who are, jumping into there fully, and there's major technology projects which follow, particularly in making sure that their ETRM system can potentially handle those kind of metal products. Will the energy transition metals side of things be, as massive several years down the line? Who knows? I think there's great value in. We've definitely seen a major trend in investment funds getting into commodity and energy. You can see, the likes of Balanasi, Citadel, lots of these major funds getting in. So I think if you can start to specialize in that area, get some experiences with those funds, that's never going to be a bad place, and that's certainly never going to be a badly paid place. And consider things regionally. Obviously, you're obviously the you're not necessarily going to be as internationally mobile as you'd like, but I look at somewhere like Singapore. Singapore is making doing enormous amounts of work in developing themselves as a sort of global center for energy and commodities technology. They're doing a lot to encourage global AI centers of excellence for commodity trading firms. So yeah, that's also, you might want to look a bit more sort of regional.
Yeah. So definitely, like even like places like Mercuria, they make a lot of money, trading the financials
Yeah.
in the space. Uh, so one of my clients, like which was heavy on the physical side, they saw that, and like they started doing the financials from their London desk as well. So definitely there is a lot of buzz in that, particularly in the trading financials as well now. So I think all of us kind of quite get a lot of requests on LinkedIn and as well as other platforms where a lot of people want to switch into commodities, like from other spaces.
Mm.
And what would be the guidance from you for those people who are considering that switch into the commodity space?
So it would a lot of what I mentioned in regards to the students, the young professionals, would still stand true. I think that there's obviously some real strong crossover potential from general finance, again, particularly on that investment management side. I think someone who can combine those skills of working, with the investment management industry, coupled with some commodity skills, could probably find themselves being able to leapfrog up the career ladder quite quickly. Yeah, I'd say my advice for professionals who want to switch careers and get into commodities, don't wait. We look forward to welcoming you.
Yeah.
Uh, Ben, lately I've been reading some books and they talk about how to shape your content diet
Yep.
and maybe try to reduce a bit of TikTok and X, and move towards shaping a good content diet for yourself. So, just curiously on that, wanting to know your content diet, what are some good resources, go to books, podcasts, or websites that help keep you up to date with the overall commodity market trends?
Yep. So my top advice would always be, LinkedIn, 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 LinkedIn. Really invest time in your LinkedIn, curate your LinkedIn, make sure that you're following the right people, connecting to the right people, including both of you, because you both create some really interesting content out there. I think other notable people, I would say Gary Vasey is well worth following from that CTRM perspective. Eddie Toffpick does really good stuff around markets and technical analysis. Aviv Handler does really good stuff on the sort of, particularly the European regulations. But there's just a massive range of really interesting people on LinkedIn. So yeah, I from my side, I invest in my LinkedIn. I make sure I'm following the right people, and I spend probably 15 to 20 minutes at the start of each day just reading through and educating myself, because that's it's real time. And the LinkedIn algorithm can be a pain at times, but once it sort of gets the hang of what you find interesting, it tends to be giving you that good stuff. Also make it two ways, for anyone who's whether you're an established person in the industry or whether you're just getting started, start posting today, calendarize posts, spend time on creating some meaningful content of yourself. It will be a slow journey. You will start off by just having, your mum and your brother giving you a like on the post. But as you grow your network and you keep on posting meaningful content, it will grow, and this is going to be immensely helpful to your own career. On the book side of things, there's some brilliant books out there. We at Commodities People, we have our Commodities People book club, where we every quarter, everyone who's participating in the company gets a book of the month. But it really depends what you're looking for, so there's obviously books like The World for Sale, The King of Oil, absolutely fantastic, as good as a non-commodities person could read them for pleasure very easily. On the other hand, if you want to get kind of quite specific and technical, you'd be looking at something like Hello, ETRM and CTRM by yours truly, Chirag. ETRM Software and an Analyst's View by Gary Vasey and Patrick Reams. There's a whole a lot of really interesting ones out there. But ultimately, I'm not such a podcaster person myself, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, for me, it's LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, I think it's for all of us. Like it's one source of information which we all absorb every day, day to day. So, Ben, finally, for our listeners, if somebody wants to get in connect with you and learn more about your work, what is the best way to reach out to you?
LinkedIn.
I was expecting that.
Yeah, I'm obviously email's fine, but LinkedIn, frankly, and I think generally there's always going to be more of a it's just the place to connect. It's the greatest resource. So do please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Or, of course, come along to some of our events, in wherever they may be, and I'll hope to meet you in person there.
Yeah, So, well, before we end, I recently saw, and I think you talked about during this podcast as well, you are starting a new event in Middle East, in Dubai.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Super excited by that one. It's been on the cards for years. We've had global people from all parts of the commodities and energy ecosystem across the world, Middle East and beyond, have been requesting it for years. We nearly did it a couple of years ago, but ended up launching an event in the meantime in Singapore, which took took quite a bit of attention. But now that one's kind of grown up a bit and walking on its own 2 feet. So we've got the capacity to launch Middle East. Yeah, I mean, there's just a huge amount happening. Obviously, it's always been and is always going to be a really interesting location for sort of oil and LNG and so on. But, we're seeing some really interesting stuff even in power markets. There's a lot happening in the new energies. Saudi's really making a big push on hydrogen and ammonia, renewables, storage, lots happening. And what we found is that there is, there are some great events in the Middle East which focus quite heavily on sort of the market, the individual markets themselves. But there's not so much out there that looks at sort of what we do, that kind of process of trading, the best practices of trading. We will still have expert market commentary on those ones I mentioned, but we're also going to go really, really deep on, energy trading technology, risk management best practices, trading strategies, and so on. So yeah, really excited for that one. That'll be September the 2nd to 3rd of next year. 5-star location in the Middle East, in Dubai. Expecting around sort of 1,000 attendees to that one. We're also going to be within that having regional focus deep dives, including some significant regional focus on Indian markets. So we'll be expecting quite a significant attendance from the region.
Well, Ben, best of luck for that event, and I
Thank
hope
you.
it's a huge success like other events. And I hope when you have an appetite, we have some of the event in Calgary as well. And well, it was a fantastic discussion, Ben. So thanks for
Thank you.
sharing the journey and insights.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure, and I'll look forward to seeing you both in about 5 weeks' time in London.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ben.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.